How's it going, everyone? I hope you're having an amazing week so far. I know I am. Lattafa have been killing it recently with their fragrances, especially with their Pride line, because you get a really great presentation, high quality juices, and great performance and quality for the price that you're paying. A lot of these are under $50 and they could easily be asking for 3 times the price. And since it's November and the fall season is among us, I thought I'd review 4 of these fragrances that are going to be perfect for this season, and I'm really excited to get into it. So don't go anywhere. Let's get started. So all these fragrances I bought from Jomashop, and I ordered these around a month or 2 ago, and they're sometimes really slow because sometimes they sell them for a really good deal and sometimes it's too hard to pass up. So I decided to be patient and wait the 3-4 weeks for these fragrances. So the first fragrance on this list is Lattafa's Ajwaa. So this is a very interesting fragrance bottle. Yeah, so as you can see, you have this really interesting bottle and you have this kind of textured embossed look to it, and it's a really high quality print. On the back, you also have the sort of Lattafa sticker with the holographic logo, and on the top it has the Lattafa logo. You also have a really cool kind of booklet that shows you all of the Lattafa releases as well as what's coming soon. So this is definitely a good way to learn some of the notes and some of the upcoming releases, and I don't know, I always like collecting these and looking through these. So something I noticed is on the label on the cellophane, it says that it's a 3.4 ounce. It's 100 ml, and on the box it says it's actually a 90 ml, so a 3.04 fluid ounce. Which is it, Lattafa? It's the 90. So you have this really unique kind of rubberized, almost matte covered kind of outer exterior, and it opens up to reveal the fragrance bottle, which is, I believe, a sort of kind of palm tree. Definitely a very detailed bottle, and I don't really know how I feel about this cap. Let's check out this atomizer. Oh, that's pretty decent. So definitely not a huge throw on this one like some of their other kind of fragrances, but it's pretty decent nonetheless. Ooh, okay, that is some unique stuff. Let's give it a second. So Lattafa's Ajwaa has top notes of bergamot, LMI, dates, and lemon, with middle notes of LMI, licorice, and myrrh, with the base of benzoin, incense, labdanum, musk, and vanilla. So initially on the opening, I get a blast of lemon, bergamot, and a really unique date note. So that's kind of that almost caramelized kind of dried plum. That's kind of what I get from it. It almost has like a prune type of vibe, just a really nice dried fruit, but with a nice hint of spice and kind of warm incense. Almost has a brown sugar like kind of gourmand quality to it that definitely reminds me of the holidays, especially up top. This also kind of reminds me of a kind of pumpkin brown sugar candle, but infinitely better with that kind of nice addition of the bergamot, the LMI, and the date. Man, that's really unique. I feel like that nutmeg definitely does come in strong, and that's what kind of contributes to that almost pumpkin pie kind of vibe. I have not smelled anything that smells this unique before. I don't believe that this one is a twist or a clone of any particular fragrance. I think Lattafa is starting to create some of their original fragrances, and I think I remember seeing that on their Instagram. But definitely a really rich, mature, kind of spicy date on this one. So interestingly, once that kind of bergamot and the lemon die down, you definitely get a little bit more of that licorice and a kind of brown sugar gourmand accord. And it almost reminds me a little bit of Raisin Bran. So it almost has that kind of sweet, kind of sugary cereal accord, but with a wheat-like kind of base to it. And it also has a little bit of that kind of dried raisin kind of date fruit vibe as well. Once this does dry down, you do lose a little bit of that kind of freshness, and it turns into a more kind of well-rounded kind of raisin and date-like fragrance. But in the dry down, you get a lot more of that licorice, the nutmeg, and that really interesting kind of Raisin Bran accord with that kind of brown sugar. I imagine that this is definitely going to be a fall or winter fragrance. I think in the cold, the absolute cold, it's going to push off a little bit better, and I think it might be a little bit less cloying, you know, if you're in the kind of warmer kind of mornings of fall. I think I'd maybe save this for the evenings and afternoons when it's a little bit cooler, but I think this is definitely a hidden gem and a fire release from Lattafa. I actually wore this one last week, and so it gave me around 10 hours of longevity, so pretty dang good, and it lasts a lot longer, especially on clothes. And after about the 8-hour mark, it starts to kind of really settle down and smell really gourmand and nice. So 10 hours at least out of this fragrance, and projection is also very nice. This one is super masculine, and I cannot wait to wear it this winter. An excellent high quality release from Lattafa, and that is Lattafa's Ajwaa. So the second fragrance, I actually was extremely excited once I found it on sale. This is Lattafa's Vintage Radio. So this one actually takes inspiration from Initio's Rahab. So that is a wonderful plum and kind of lavender fragrance with a nice bit of Palo Santo. And it's one of my absolute favorites from Initio, and I can't wait to get a full bottle. But until then, I think I'm gonna be rocking this one. So this fragrance is one of the Lattafa fragrances with the white matte bottles and the kind of bronze accents and really creative prints along the front. So I think this design for the bottles is going to be very divisive. I think it looks kind of cool. Others might think it's a little bit cheap looking with the kind of print, but I kind of like seeing designers step out of their comfort zone and try something new like this. So Vintage Radio also has this sort of dark brown, almost burgundy kind of casing on the outside, and this opens up, kind of lifts up, and you have the fragrance on side. So this is a 100 ml eau de parfum, and as you can see, you have the Lattafa kind of Vintage Radio printed on the front. It is sort of raised and embossed. I don't know if you can really see that, and the cap actually feels pretty nice. It's got a nice kind of heft to it. Much better than the last one. Oh man, this stuff is magical. I can immediately smell that plum. Oh, that is magic. So Lattafa's Vintage Radio has top notes of lavender, sage, and bergamot with middle notes of plum, palo santo, black pepper, and a base of sandalwood and amberwood. So immediately on the top, you get a blast of kind of bubblegum sweetness, and I know that phrase is kind of overused, but it is very sweet, it's gourmand, and smells like a candied sort of bergamot. And you also have that plum. So plum is a really interesting note that isn't really used all that much in fragrances. And I remember I saw Omar over from School of Scent. He was talking about how amazing and underrated that note is, and I can't wait to try his new fragrance release. So I did say earlier this is an Initio Rahab clone, so you definitely get that Palo Santo, the bergamot, and that plum. So it smells very kind of mouth-watering, and the plum just comes off very sweet, smooth, and it's not overly in your face, so not super overripe or acidic. It's just very smooth, kind of creamy, and it just smells really delicious. I think the addition of the sage and the lavender definitely keep it smelling very aromatic and green, but I think the sweetness of the kind of plum and the bergamot mixed with that kind of creamy sandalwood, I think it all blends extremely nice together, and it just smells ultra pleasing, sweet, and soft. That is good. So let's let this settle down and come back on the dry down. So in that dry down, it definitely takes a little bit of a more vanillic and almost lactonic kind of tone. And the plum kind of turns from this juicy plum to a more soft and cozy sweetness. It's just got a real musky and vanillic kind of base, almost like a musky marshmallow, but it's not overly sweet, and it's slightly soapy, but just very vanillic, creamy, especially from that sandalwood. I think the vanilla and the black pepper together smell fantastic, and it adds a little bit of a kind of fall winter kind of vibe to it that kind of gives it a little bit more of a power, a little bit more staying power on your skin, and it gives it a little bit more of a kind of fall winter edge. I also feel like there's a little bit of a cashmere in accord that's not listed, so maybe the notes just kind of blend like that to create something similar to cashmere, and just that real clean, sweet, and fuzzy feeling that you get from a lot of the kind of modern men's fragrances. I actually really love this dry down as much as I do the opening, so I think you cannot go wrong with this one, and I've actually worn this all last week at work. It's an 8 to 10 hour fragrance at least, and if you give yourself like 6 or 7 sprays, it can last even longer. And I love wearing this one with Maison Alhambra's Infinity Musk, which is actually an Initio Musk Therapy clone, so that one is going to be coming in an upcoming video very soon, so stay tuned. But 2 fragrances that are perfect and kind of in that Initio line that are going to be perfect together. So this one is right there in the middle. I think this is unisex. It's got a really nice kind of pleasant sweetness from the plum and a little bit of a white floral kind of muskiness, so all women and everyone can enjoy this, but it's also got a nice kind of mature quality to it that I think anybody can enjoy. Yeah, that is a 10 out of 10 fragrance for me. Next up are 2 fragrances from the Lattafa Ajayeb line, and the first one is Lattafa Ajayeb Portrait, which is the white one, and then we also have the black version. So Ajayeb White has a very interesting box. As you can see, it's got this kind of gold foil kind of texture along the side and also the top. And it also has what looks like a sort of fabric strip along the front and the side that's definitely textured and feels kind of high quality. And this one, like the other ones, were created in late 2023, so definitely brand new. Now that is an interesting bottle. I remember some people were kind of, did that just fall? That just fell off. So my cap actually had the little Lattafa plastic logo pop out. That's a little disappointing, but hey, it's okay. I'm not really staring at the top of the cap. So a very kind of flimsy cap. It looks like it's just kind of painted gold along the outside, and it just fell off. So Lattafa's Ajayeb Portrait has top notes of orange and lemon with middle notes of osmanthus, jasmine, and mango, and a base of sandalwood, amber, musk, and oud. That's actually a really nice atomizer. It pushes off very strong and it gets a nice even application. Funny enough, the atomizers are better on these $20 fragrances than the $40 and $50 ones. So that opening is very fruity. I feel like you definitely get a blast of that kind of mango and that kind of orange and other citruses. And I feel like I also get almost like a dragon fruit accord as well. So definitely very tropical, slightly green, and you definitely get quite a bit of a floral and vegetal vibe at the same time. Whew. I feel like for the ladies, this is going to be essential for the fall and the kind of summer season. I did not expect that out of this. This is a lot more fresh than I had thought. I thought this was gonna be maybe something like a Tom Ford Eau de Soleil Blanc, just kind of a creamy sunscreen fragrance, but man, I actually really dig this. You definitely get a sweet and tropical tartness up top from the mango and the orange, but I feel like I also picked up a little bit on an unlisted cannabis or Divana note up top. And it could be the mango and the jasmine combined together, because the mango and jasmine together can create a little bit of a green kind of smoky, just herbal accord like that. But very soapy, powdery, and clean with a nice white floral touch. So this definitely takes inspiration from a lot of women's kind of summer fragrances. I remember there was a Bath & Body Works Mango Mai Tai. I think that was one that smells a little bit similar to this, but I actually really enjoy how different this smells from the kind of tropical nuances and the kind of green undertones. In the dry down, you get much more of that sandalwood and the oud with a touch of that kind of honey-like osmanthus. And the oud here is definitely a soft wood, kind of powdery in the dry down, but just a really nice sweet and almost light oud, if that makes sense. So while the opening is definitely magical and has that nice kind of tropical quality to it, I think the dry down is a little bit more my style. I like the kind of soapy and powdery oud in there with a bit of that kind of woody sweetness. So definitely more my style. I think this is a little bit more feminine leaning, especially in the opening, but if you're willing to stick around, you know, towards the ending and towards the dry down, I think it's definitely well worth it. And I think if you like that kind of fruity, kind of tropical vibe, then this one might be up your alley. Easily a 10-hour fragrance and perfect for the warmer weather and kind of fall transitional season. And that is Lattafa's Ajayeb Portrait. And last but not least, we have Lattafa's Ajayeb, which is the black. I absolutely love this presentation of the all black kind of matte box, and also with the kind of textured looks on the side. So I love how this bottle looks. It kind of shares a similarity to the Neanderthal fragrance bottles, as those look like kind of chipped glass and just kind of textured like that. And I love how that looks. Oh, that is an interesting kind of juice. Lattafa's Ajayeb has top notes of pineapple and saffron with middle notes of violet leaves, coffee, and a base of sandalwood, butterscotch, and vanilla. So up top, I definitely get a blast of that kind of pineapple and coffee. I think the coffee definitely smells kind of dark and kind of buttery, especially from that kind of butterscotch, but the inclusion of the saffron also gives it a really nice kind of spicy, dark undertone. I think the pineapple and kind of violet leaf vibe mixed with the kind of spicy saffron, I'm not really the biggest fan of it. It kind of just smells like coffee and curry for some reason to me. And while those are amazing by themselves, I don't really like the opening particularly all that much. Something about it's just a little funky, at least the way that it's blended. So I'm gonna give it just a few minutes to settle down. The pineapple definitely dies down about 30 minutes into it, and it turns a lot more dark and kind of spiced. In the dry down, I still definitely get some of that spicy saffron with a hint of the coffee, and I feel like it does stay very leathery and patchouli-like. So there is no patchouli officially listed on this, but that's kind of what I get. A leather, patchouli, and saffron with a hint of coffee. So saffron can take on a little bit of a spicy and almost bitter quality, and sometimes it could come off very leather-like. So here I think it's got a bit of both of those qualities. So it's got a spice, it's got a leather, but ultimately it does smell very dark and black. So people have been saying that this smells similar to By Killian's Black Phantom. I really don't get that. I mean, there is a little bit of the coffee, a little bit of the kind of dark kind of gourmands, but I think this is in an entirely different direction. I think the violet here definitely makes it smell a little bit more vegetal, but it definitely does stay dark and mysterious, kind of like a Black Phantom without being Black Phantom. And there is a really interesting kind of musky undertone in the base, and I love coffee and musk together. And here I think it definitely smells better in the dry down than the opening. You know, at times it smells like that kind of leather jacket with a salted latte kind of accord. So This one, the dry down, definitely smells better than the opening, but I don't know if I want to stick around for that opening to kind of dry down, you know, for that 1 or 2 hours. So I don't know about this one personally. So maybe you want like a spicy saffron, violet, and coffee DNA. You know, if you're into that, I think you'll definitely enjoy this one, but for me, I'm not really gonna be wearing this one. This one is a 12-hour fragrance, so for $20 for 12 hours of longevity, I think this is a fantastic deal, but you gotta love the juice because it will stick to your skin like crazy. And that is Lattafa's Ajayeb, the black one. And there you have it, 4 Lattafa brand new releases from 2023. I think I'm gonna be wearing the Lattafa Pride line fragrances the most this season because this one smells just like Rahab. It's beautiful, it's clean, it's vanillic, and it has just a beautiful plum note. And Ajwaa has a really spicy licorice and date kind of accord that smells extremely original, and I can't wait to wear these. And the 2 Ajayeb fragrances are only $20 each, so at that price you really can't complain, but you know, at least for the black one, you've gotta be into this one, so I don't think it's gonna be for everyone. And this one at least I think is gonna be perfect for the ladies or anybody who wants something fresh, sweet, and perfect for the kind of fall and summer season. That does it, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are new to the channel, thank you so much for checking it out. Please consider subscribing and leaving a like because it helps put this video out to other people's feeds and it helps people discover my channel and my love for fragrances. So I hope you have an amazing day, an amazing week, an amazing month, and amazing rest of the year. I've been Eli with Common Sense, and until the next time, bye-bye.